Some people have moved to the country and set up farm communes. Others have set up living arrangements in the city. Either way, it's not an easy way to live. Some resent the loss of privacy. Others don't quite have that sense of responsibility to live in a large group of people in such close contact. Many of the communes, therefore, have failed, dissolved, fallen apart. One that hasn't, though, is this one. A group of 13 people in their 20s living together in an old rented house in southeast Portland.
We try every story we try to make as interesting to as broad an audience as possible. And if it isn't interesting to a broad audience, the best we can do then is make it short. On a day like today, in a town like Portland, it's not much of a choice. You have a hard time finding features and news that really warrants coverage.
This is John Stossel from KGW TV News, and I was interested in doing a story on a commune, a communal living arrangement in Portland that was working. And, okay, well, what I want to do is, there have been stories about the communes that have got together, and most of them are young kids who weren't that serious about it. And most of them didn't last very long, because a lot of them folded after about 6 months or so. And apparently yours has gone on for some time. And what I want to do is sort of present this is your lifestyle, this is another kind of way of doing it, and let you tell about what your problems are, and if you're being hassled by anybody, what the advantages are, what some of the problems are about it. And if possible, film you all doing something together. Like, I guess eating would be the most simple thing. One request, if you can talk in terms like you're talking to the 15-year-old child down the street. Because when you talk in terms of primary and energy, it's impossible with this media because we don't have the time, and the average viewer will lose interest. Okay? Thank you, owner, and we'll be there at 5:30. Okay, goodbye.
Hey, you want to be in pictures? You want Jack a diamond, Jack a diamond, get me down, Lord, get me down. And if I get my Jack a diamonds, I get on down there, gonna get me down.
The northwest side somewhere. Pat, what I think I'd like to do is start on me, and I'll do a stand-up and say there are a lot of communes, and some of them are screwed up, and some work, and some don't. There's one here that has.
Do the stand-up inside while they're fixing dinner with them in the background?
Them in the background. And then when I say there's one that has, here it is, and so, and then you go off me onto them, and then I don't have the information yet, but I'll say, you know, here are these 11 people, Portland State students, and they do this together and that together, whatever they do. But they're professional people, and they're all very precise about what they are, or at least the ones I've talked to are very precise about what they get out of it. They aren't really going to say, hey, it's really groovy, or really put it
far out.
They're going to say it in very precise terms. I'm not sure it's going to work.
Are they on, like, biodegradable food, that type of thing? Are they involved in that?
I don't think so. It's just a family, and there have been a lot of other families that are a lot more radical than they are.
What about, you can have a close? Stand-up close?
I can't think of one now. Hopefully something they'll say will lead me to it.
but we're going to be eating in here.
Where will you be fixing dinner?
In the kitchen, which is in here.
You're Rick?
Pat, that's
You're
Rich.
Pat and Rick.
And some people want to eat but don't want to be filmed.
While they're eating?
Yeah.
I don't know the word that.
What's your like?
If I were going to ask you what you got out of the commune, what would you tell me?
It's convinced me that I want to live in a group of people
Why?
like all my life. Because of the sense of self-criticism and growth as a group rather than...
Okay, if you could think of a way to say that in terms of I feel this way, rather than you're saying it in pluperfect thinking and so forth.
Yeah.
If you can just think, and then we'll ask you on film once and give a short, like 20 seconds or so, summarize your whole feelings about it. There's not much, but if you could think about that a few seconds, okay?
A few seconds.
What do you get out of it personally?
One important thing is that I feel that living together with a group of people and sharing your resources is an ecological way to live, and that the American standard of living is really harmful to the ecology. And the way we're living, we can share, like, we would be normally maybe living in 5 or 6 apartments and have to have that many washing machines and that many stoves and that many refrigerators. But this way we can just make maximum use of what we have.
You want to ask about the meetings they have? They said there was a little bit of a hassle at times, that you kind of brought out
I
things.
think that's technical.
That's what?
It'd be technical to portray on film. Okay, let's go over again what you get out of it. Why do you do it?
Because I like the spontaneous interaction with people all the time.
Can you elaborate on that? Can you start over and then elaborate on
Ask the
that?
question, Rick.
Okay, but I don't want the question in.
Well, we can cut that out.
Not if he says because.
No, just ask the question and then...
Okay, and if you could say that one sentence and then elaborate on it a little more. Okay. Why do you?
I really like to be here because people are here all the time that I can interact with. And if I come home and I'm tired or if I'm excited about something, there's always somebody here to talk to relate that with. And there's always somebody if I'm depressed or happy or worried or any number of other emotions that can keep stimulating me and that I can keep stimulating. And it's a much more exciting, I think, life than just living in a one-to-one situation with my wife or whoever.
Good. You happy? You would rather not talk. I take it. No. Okay. Would you want to talk a little bit again? Maybe hold your baby?
And also, like, it's very important for me to, like, learn how to cook and learn how to do dishes and learn how to take care of a household, which I never was expected to do when I was young. And I never thought I'd have to do. I always thought that was what women did, you know. But now women are telling me, no, look, you know, you've had all the good things. And there's some really good things that we've got that you haven't got, like taking care of kids and like learning how to cook. And I've learned that. And it's really exciting.
That's good.
I can talk about... Do you want to talk about the skills?
I would, except we're burning it real quick.
What does that mean?
We're using up a lot of film.
You ready, Pat?
Sure.
Okay, just start setting the table like you were setting the table. Hey, Nancy.
How much sound up do you want before you have the first interview?
If there's something that would be interesting, fine.
Yeah.
But I don't see what would be.
Pass the butter or giggling, or rather than just being a straight interview like we normally do, we could just let it run, just let them exchange as if we're not there.
We have our 3-minute story and 30 seconds of it is them passing the butter. Why? Why? Some resent the loss of privacy. Others don't quite have that sense of responsibility to live in a large group of people in such close contact. Many of the communes, therefore, have failed, dissolved, fallen apart. One that hasn't, though, is this one. A group of 13 people in their 20s living together in an old rented house in southeast Portland. You live together, you eat together, you cook together, you support somebody who's out of a job.
We try.
And you try to do most everything together.
No, we don't try to do most everything together. I think because we have such a variety of interests.
It's a group of young people,
Right.
best I can get.
Between 21 and 30. A college professor, a teaching intern, let's see, a hospital worker.
Most of them with professional jobs, then, I could say. Well, that's a terrible way to say
No,
it.
I don't think you can say that either because there's such a variety.
But you don't necessarily recommend it for everybody else, either.
We recommend it for as many people who can make the decision to do it. Like it's not a game.
The group cooks together, eats together, they raise their children together, they share their expenses, and they meet to work out their problems as a group. They don't recommend it to everybody, but they say for themselves they wouldn't want it any other way. John Stossel reporting for KGW News.
We might have just made it.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Goodbye. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And here we are, a mild mannered today. That's to our own little house.
Show's over.
Not a camera inside or a bright light.
People get to see the way I am when I'm not acting, when I'm not
Can that be tighter?
just, feeling in a good mood and going out to see people
I
as
left
I
the
am all
list
the
because
time. And they
she
can
was
give
in
me
the middle of the
feedback
frame.
on the way that they're
I
reacting
want to keep
to
her
me.
head looking up.
The group cooks together, eats together, they raise their children together, they share their expenses, and they meet to work out their problems as a group. They don't recommend it to everybody, but they say for themselves they wouldn't want it any other way. John Stossel reporting for KGW.
Didn't quite make it.
Yeah, okay. That's good. You don't mind the flash, and it has enough tail on it to go through.
Yeah, I do mind the flash, but I think we can still get away with it if that's the only thing you got, unless you don't want
I'd rather use it than a layover.
it. Would you?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry to be critical about those shots, and they were beautiful shots, just that they don't seem relevant to the interview A role. Argue with me if I'm wrong.
Could use it tonight. They're pretty soft.
Right. The way we have the house structured, everyone has an equal role. There isn't someone who's a breadwinner and someone who's a cook. Right. The way we have the house structured, everyone has an equal role. There isn't someone who's...
And there's always somebody to find depressed or happy or worried or any number of other emotions. That can keep stimulating me, and I can keep stimulating. And it's so much more exciting to take flight.
Okay, I'm just trying to give you the general gist, and then you can write it any way you want. But we want to do a news feature on the ski business, and I'd like some information from him about Mount Bachelor, if he could call me. (224) 8620. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Here's the cut sheet.
It's the open. These are all the shots, and that's the close. When Joe and 5 and 6 are repeats, so they could easily be B-roll.
Yeah.
I've got 1 hour.
Thanks a lot.
I'll show basically short little scenes, one following the other. I'll show person at the stove working, stirring, person cooking, fixing the beets, one making cookies, one washing the carrots, that type of thing. It'll make it seem like there's a bit more activity than there was. It looks like a mishmash now, and Rick was a bit concerned because he didn't think that it would show people working together, but I have it in my mind that when I edit it, I'll show that they are working together, and it'll, when I splice it together, it'll look good.
Some people have moved to the country and set up farm communes. Others have set up living arrangements in the city. Either way, it's not an easy way to live.
Now what would you do with that?
Hey, you got a call. Is that number 4?
Is anybody up there to the booth? And I need somebody.
What do you need?
I think you're going to be a couple of minutes late.
Good, we may need it. Ivan, we may be a minute or so late. I don't know how tight.
Late getting in, or?
Late getting on the air.
Oh, well, we've got a couple minutes to spare, so let's hope it's not too many.
They're late getting on to this show, what's happening up here. And they're going to drop this trim the tree bit, I think, which will give us an extra minute, then we wouldn't be late. Yeah.
Well, probably 45 seconds at the most for weather on the in if he goes right into commune coming out. 15 seconds.
Okay, 10 seconds. Stand by.
Yourself out in case of
On to, Dick.
emergency. This is KGW-TV, Channel 8, the news station.
Here we go.
Good evening, everyone. A crackdown coordinated by Multnomah and Washington County agents has put a dent in local prostitution business.
Senate debate has begun on the SST in what will probably be a close contest.
This is Newsbeat with
Hey, Jacob, back here on one.
John Carter. With sports director Doug Lemire.
Right here, Dick. Stand by.
Jack Cassell.
Camera 1, right.
About 30 policemen took part in a half-dozen rapes last night, and the Multnomah County Grand Jury today launched an investigation into organized prostitution.
Ready, sound on 10. We don't have a super on this one though.
Before the council wanted no part of the sales tax.
Sound on 10.
The council must
Okay.
realize one.
Take one. Cue, ready, 2. In queue here, we can't stand anymore. Roll commercial.
You never know.
Yeah, turn it up. The middle one.
We're on after the next commercial.
Money's gone and you're still shopping. There must be a better way.
There is at Penny's. Give her a beautiful night's sleep for Christmas and save 20% this week on our brushed nylon sleepwear.
The closer it gets to Christmas, the more you'll appreciate Penny's.
5 seconds. Here we go. Here we go, Dick.
Experiments in living are popular these days, especially among young people.
John Stossel has a report on one such experiment, a southeast Portland commune.
Roll film, take it sound.
Some people have moved to the country and set up farm communes. Others have set up living arrangements in the city. Either way, it's not an easy way to live.
Some resent the loss of privacy. Others don't quite have
Look at those trees.
to live in a large group of people in such close contact.
Many of the communes, therefore, have failed, dissolved, fallen apart. One that hasn't, though, is this one. A group of 13 people in their 20s living together in an old rented house in southeast Portland.
People get to see the way I am when I'm not acting, when I'm not just, feeling in a good mood and going out to see people, but as I am all the time. And they can give me feedback on the way that they're reacting to me. So I have a better understanding of myself. It's like having a mirror or something reflecting how I am, who I am.
And if I come home and I'm tired or if I'm excited about something, there's always somebody here to talk to relate that with. And there's always somebody if I'm depressed or happy or worried or any number of other emotions that can keep stimulating me and that I can keep stimulating.
You can go and sit down next to somebody on a bus and talk about just about anything, but when you're living with that person and what you talk about, you know, has consequences the next 5 minutes, it makes it a lot different. It makes it a lot more meaningful. Makes it a lot more real.
I now have an opportunity in living with a group of people to be a father and be a mother, you know, without actually being a blood relative of people. And like, I can get very close to Matthew or kids that I'm living with.
Most people have a special skill, and when you get them living together, they can share them. They'll teach me how to play the guitar, and I'm teaching other people how to do ceramics. Some people know how to make candles, and they're teaching us how to do those.
Like, it's very important for me to, like, learn how to cook and learn how to do dishes and learn how to take care of a household, which I never was expected to do when I was young. And I never thought I'd have to do. I always thought that was what women did, you know. But now women are telling me, no, look, you know, you've had all the good things. And there's some really good things that we've got that you haven't got, like taking care of kids and like learning how to cook.
The group cooks together, eats together, they raise their children together, they share their expenses, and they meet to work out their problems as a group. They don't recommend it to everybody, but they say for themselves they wouldn't want it any other way.
Where did the tail come from? Give a bowl.
Just pre-digested and just tasteless, like bread.
I feel really ripped off. You know?
I kind of feel ripped off too because, because it was so blah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But we were too, you know, like
exactly.
really coming out blah. And the whole thing, you know, it's like there's so much subconscious.
And what you said, Joe, about, you know, my mother's comment about they didn't distort us, and you said we distorted ourselves for them, and that's really where it was. What was what we did to ourselves to be on television.
I started to say things like, well, I really get a lot out of it because we share a lot of values that are in common, you know. And so when he said, well, don't talk about that. Talk about how you feel, you know, right now. What do you get out of it? And don't put I believe in, and don't put I think in, and don't put this, that, or the other thing in, but just tell me what I want you to say, you know, kind of thing. And that was really a drag, you know.
We were talking about it after watching the story, my wife and I, and a lot of the things that they said they got out of that communal living experience were things that I think a lot of people feel they get out of just a marriage.
I have the feeling that many of them are deteriorating physically. They're letting their teeth go to pot, and they're not maintaining themselves, and they're depreciating in a way that's going to be irretrievable and quite expensive to them ultimately, and not in terms of money, but in terms of capacity to be productive.
It usually ends up that when people in the media look into communal living situations, they bring to it the same old yardsticks they bring to businesses and government and those things, and they say, well, is it a success or is it a failure? And it really doesn't make much meaning, you know, when you think about it, because it's just life. It's just people getting together, and if people decide after a while they're going to split, or some of them stay and some don't, then that's just another part of life.
There's some really good things that we've got that you haven't got, like taking care of kids and like learning how to cook.
The group cooks together, eats together, they raise their children together, they share their expenses, and they meet to work out their problems as a group. They don't recommend it to everybody, but they say for themselves they wouldn't want it any other way.
Really, Freddie, I think this could be a very dynamite show.
Okay, there's a television news on communal living. What do you think of that?
Presented the only way that it could be presented objectively. They went, and the guy was standing there. He asked each person in the community how they felt.
Each person?
Well, you know, a couple of the people. He didn't have time to ask all 13 people.
That's the only way really to report, I think, is to follow people around and ask the people in the commune. But also to ask the people that left the commune, because the person said, well, he could always have someone to talk to when he's depressed and everything. Another person would feel that there's too many people to talk to when you're depressed.
Okay, what are you saying? Without
the
It
sarcasm.
can be just as slanted as anything. They may not pick up everything, and they may show it in just a special way.
Why?
Because it's what they
There
want to
he-
get across.
The reporter had a role in the beginning and in the end. Was he fair? Was he unbiased?
In the beginning, he said most of them have failed. He said most of them, you know, they're no good. He said most of them. He said most of them have
He
failed.
said most. Many
He
have
said many
failed.
of them have failed.
Right.
And he said that people aren't going to like the lack of privacy.
Many people don't like the lack
Yeah.
of privacy.
And there was one
People are
more.
generally irresponsible.
Yeah, they don't want the responsibility.
Right, they resent the responsibility.
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
biased. If you're gonna,
No, it's
you,
not biased.
No.
He's presenting the facts.
He said that that's how other people feel.
He's presenting the
He's
facts.
making people feel that most people are going to not want these, so they're no good.
not.
He doesn't come right out and state this. See, this is something that's done on television advertising. They never come right out and say something. They imply. They give the implication of something, and this is what the reporter did.
It's just the way that we all interpret it. It's different. And the establishment, usually meaning our parents, because they are the ones that set it up, they react to something differently than I do.
Okay, are you saying that you're sitting there with your mother watching a television program and all the facts are being presented, and just because of the difference in age between your mother and you, you're going to react differently?
There's no doubt about it. In the age, they call it the generation gap. But there is a difference in the attitudes. I know I had terrible arguments with my parents about many things, about marijuana, arguments. I know the facts because I just wrote a paper about it. I know the facts. I know the facts. My mother does not know the facts, but she thinks she knows the facts, and I'm wrong. No matter what I say, I'm wrong.
Who knows the facts here? Do you know all the facts?
I don't know all the facts, but I know more than my mother knows.
You're saying you know the facts. The National Health something or other just said that if you smoke 2 joints a day for 2 years, there's proof it shows it might cause brain damage, irreparable brain damage.
Oh, where did you hear or see or read this?
Newspaper, LA Times.
The Los Angeles Times? And you believe the Los Angeles Times?
Yeah, but something that you read,
Right.
you take it into consideration that it could be true.
You take, okay, that's a good point. Anything that you read, you take into consideration that it could be true.
Yeah.
Does it necessarily mean that it is true?
You know, you can pull any set of facts you want from anywhere, so, you know, it's going to wind up being on your own interpretation anyway, no matter what you're talking about.
That's Newsbeat. Richard Ross, John Curtis, Doug Lemire, and Jack DePel reporting for the Channel 8 News staff. Ronald Holden reports on Night Beat tonight at 11 o'clock. And now, John Chancellor and the NBC Nightly News.
I'm John Chancellor. All right, you guys, let's hold the basketball.